NBA trade deadline is under a week away, and I have the three most realistic targets for the Mavericks to trade for, in my opinion. Coming up on today's One More Thing of Locked On Mavs.
I'm here because I have to be.
Dallas is going to get a
You are locked on Dallas Mavericks. Just one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris.
Wait.
Covering the Mavs for 10 years. And love getting to do the show with Nick. And today the podcast is on the NBA trade deadline because I want to talk about three names that I think are the most realistic targets for the Mavericks to trade for before Thursday's NBA trade deadline. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen of the day. Go make Locked On NBA your second listen of the day. And guys, if you're a true Mavs fan, you're already signed up for our Locked On Mavs Insider program. It's a text program to where we can send you all the latest news and rumors. Any Mavs rumor that hits between now and Thursday, you're getting it instantly texted to you pretty dang quick. And Q&As and different stuff on there. And of course, our newsletter, our email newsletter, it's free. You get one email a weekday with the latest episode and other Mavs news and all the stuff with that. Make sure you sign up for free at lockedondaily.com. Scan the QR code on the screen or in the podcast description. You can click the link there. Man, it's February. Thank God January is over. I feel like it lasted, 3 years. Took 3 years off my life to end. But now we're in February, and that means it's the NBA trade deadline. I love this season. I just love soaking up all the NBA trade rumors and stuff. And right now we're not getting a ton of Mav stuff. Even like the generic, people who want to just throw teams against the wall. It's like, hey, this team has called this player to monitor the situation or something. And we haven't even got a Mavs like throwing at the wall like that. So not in a bit. But we know the Mavericks have a few needs. I think some of that's debatable. We've talked about it endlessly on this podcast over the past few weeks. That when healthy, we really like this Mavs roster, right? Like it's not fully complete, but I'm pretty happy with what this team looks like when they're fully healthy. So hopefully we can get that team by or come playoff time. But I do think there's a few small spots in the rotation that they could fill. And one of those spots is the defensive wing, is the two-way wing. We've seen, I think, Stein in the past say that they would be looking for a two-way wing. Now that Lively is going to be out for a while, Maxi's probably out for the rest of the season, regular season and stuff. So could it be a backup big? Yes, they signed Kyrie Kelly. I don't know if he's the answer of the backup big. So what direction do they go between now and Thursday? I don't think that they swing for someone big. So who are the names for Dallas? Or if I feel like we've done Q&As on our Locked On Mavs Insider program. And the question we commonly get, DMs, random texts from people, dude, who's somebody the Mavs could trade for before Thursday? And this is why I want to do this one more thing, because here you go. I'm just going to shoot this link to everybody who asked me this over the next few days. These are the three names that I can see the Mavericks realistically trading for the most. Number one name, if you're like, Isaac, I have to have one name. Who's one name that's the most realistic one? I'm going with Matisse Thybulle. The Mavericks really liked him 2 years ago, right? I mean, it's 2000, not even 2 years ago. It's 2023, the summer of 2023. And, the Mavericks go out with to Thybulle, who's a restricted free agent in Portland. And they really wanted to bring him in as this defensive wing with, it's like, hey, let's surround Luka, these guys with these guys like Thybulle. And they signed him to an offer sheet. And the contract he's on right now is the contract, the Mavericks wrote up and drew up and everything. So the Mavericks are really comfortable and they know this contract. Let's just say that. And I wouldn't say it's been like a home run in Portland because even Chris Haynes at the time, we shout out to Chris Haynes reporting in his basement or something. Chris Haynes said at the time, I went back and read an article from him whenever Portland decided to match that offer sheet from Dallas, and it said that he desperately wanted to land in Dallas. And has anything happened in Portland for Thybulle to feel differently? I don't know. I just know that over the past few months, he's been riddled with these injuries. And that's the thing. It's like, is it too risky to go get Thybulle? Because he comes into the preseason this year, and because some of you probably like going to Basketball Reference, you're like, well, I don't see anything for him this year in Basketball Reference because he hasn't played. Because during the preseason, he had some pain in his knee, gets it checked out, ends up having knee surgery. Then he's on his way back. He's set to come back, just I forgot how many weeks ago. And then bam, he has this really, I want to say bad, but like he sprains his ankle enough to where he's going to miss multiple weeks and a long time in that rehab process. That's when he sprained his ankle. And so he's like right there, right? He's right now on the cusp of coming back and playing in Portland. And what's his role? Right? Like he's 27 years old. So it's not like he's like 32 or 33. But he's kind of like in between, but he's also not in the, Scoot, Shaden Sharp timeline either. So what's the value in Portland right now and keeping Thybulle? Because he has a player option at the end of this year. And if he tried to leave in the summer of 2023, will he decline his option to leave again, to try to leave again this coming up summer? I don't know. I wouldn't say it wouldn't be a shocking thing if he tried to leave again because he wants to play for a winning team or a playoff team or something like that. So when you look at it, you got a guy like Thybulle that hasn't played all season long. He's on a contract around $10-11 million. Could be an expiring contract, has the player option, like I said. And for a Portland team that's going for Cooper Flag and the ping pong balls and the lottery, what are you doing keeping Thybulle for the next handful of months before he could potentially just opt out? I would be looking to try to trade him and try to get something for him. And because of the connection with Dallas and because of the need for Dallas, because I mean, if we're looking across the league, you're wanting the bigger wings out there that can come in and be in the rotation, get some minutes off the bench, defend some, point of attack guy, or defend some bigger guys. Thybulle's the number one name I'm going after because I don't think it would take a ton to get him either. We haven't heard. Now, this is why it's kind of a shot in the dark because I haven't heard anything rumor-wise about Thybulle. So, and I'm not saying, hey, you get Thybulle, you're getting Scottie Pippen, all right? I'm not, Simmons talking about Hammond Thompson. I'm not trying to say that, but Thybulle fits the bill of like who you're trying to go get, Bill. Who you're trying to go get at the deadline, a cheap option, but also someone that can be in the rotation too. So he's right around the dollar amount of like Maxey. So is it Maxey in a couple seconds for Thybulle? Is it, if they want a young guy, it's like Maxey and Hardy for Thybulle. I don't know. It would be really tough for me if it's like Maxey and Omax for Thybulle, especially because, and I know he wanted Dallas a year and a half ago, he has the player option and he could leave at the end of the summer, and to just give up on Omax for somebody who could leave coming up this summer would be tough. But the like best version of Thybulle, like if you want to say that of like, hey, let's say you trade for him, he's right on the cusp of coming back, and now you get a healthy Thybulle for the rest of the season. That would be enticing. Like, I just think it would fit. And yes, I get the 3-point percentage. It's kind of been all over the place. It's kind of like bounced like year on, year off, year on. And my whole thing is if you're right around that, like kind of midway park in the 30 percentages, I think it's going to help you, or at least I hope it does help you if you're playing with Luka and Kyrie. In getting some open shots and stuff. So Matisse Thybulle is my number one option, and I think it's the most realistic option for Dallas to pursue between now and Thursday. Now, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and I want to give you two more names that I think are pretty realistic options for Dallas, and if they ended up in a Mavs jersey before Thursday, I would not be shocked at all.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
This podcast is brought to you by our friends at Robinhood. Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy VIP treatment, receiving 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of a very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of a high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold to receive 3% boost on your annual IRA contribution. Sign up to Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from the first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate. Claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member of SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. This podcast is also brought to you by our friends, our longtime friends at Game Time. Guys, watching the game at home is fun. The Super Bowl at home is fun, but what if you could go to the Super Bowl? You're in a different tax bracket as me, but you know what? If you could, Game Time is the place to do it. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you how incredible deals are in great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, through thousands and thousands of more tickets. Listen, my favorite feature of Game Time is this feature called all-in pricing, because I hate when I buy tickets online and then there's all these fees that add up at the end, and I'm like, all right, you're breaking my budget right now. Well, they have a feature called all-in pricing. You could toggle on. You don't get surprised by any fees at the end. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, creating an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? You guessed it. Game Time.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right. Let's talk about some more options for the Mavericks to trade for. Matisse Thybulle is my number one option, and here are my last two options. This one, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you're gonna laugh you're gonna laugh about this one, but I think it's about the situation and it's about the Mavericks' need. My nemesis, Kyle Anderson. I think there's a shot that Dallas goes and tries to get Kyle Anderson. And you're like, all right, Isaac, why? I'm not going to tell you the whole nemesis storyline on here. Basically, he flopped at a game and I called it out on Twitter, and then he saw it after the game and came back at me on it. So, Kyle Anderson's 31. He's in Golden State. All right. And he signs this 3-year deal with Golden State. He's making 8.7. It actually increases. So that's not like ideal, but it's not the end of the world. It's under $10 million. 8.7 this year, 9.2, then 9.6 after that. And when you look at a bigger guy, he's kind of around the same as like a Thybulle as far as like size, but there's more playmaking with Kyle Anderson. There's more, you can actually run some sets and stuff through him. The 3-point shooting, once again, it's not like, hey, he's, Klay Thompson out there, but he's a pretty decent 3-point shooter. And I think he's going to be available as this is one of those situations where you hop in as this third or fourth team and you try to get him for basically like free in one of these deals, a Jimmy Butler deal, a Zach LaVine deal, a Vooch deal, something like that's heading to Golden State. They have to send money out, and they're sending them to like Toronto or somewhere, or Detroit, or what's Detroit's like good right now. Man, how good was Cade? Or they're sending them to Utah or something like that, and they're like, well, Kyle Anderson, he's a win now player. Is there somewhere else that he could play? And he would fit the type of bill that I could see Dallas in saying, hey, we will take him. We need another wing to come off the bench. It would be awesome if, it's a guy who can also handle the ball too. He can hit an open shot and he can defend. He's one of those like smarter players. So yes, slow-mo. Yes, my nemesis. And yes, I could see him landing in Dallas before Thursday. And the last one I want to mention, and we mentioned him the other day about what Philly does before now and Thursday, if they decide to sell off some pieces or even ride the middle. I think one of the more perfect fits in Dallas would be Caleb Martin. If Philly does, I put him third on this list because there's a part of me to be kind of surprised if they traded him and they traded Yabu and some of these guys and just like punted on the season. But if they do and they're like shopping him around, I think so many contenders would be interested in a Caleb Martin. You're looking at a guy that's like 6'6", 6'7", somewhere through there. He's 29 years old. You look at his contract, kind of similar to Kyle Anderson's, a few more years tacked on after this one, under $10 million. So there's different iterations that Dallas could do to go get him. He can be your guy who comes off the bench. This is the same Caleb Martin who went off in the playoffs and did all the stuff, but it's not, I don't want to you don't want to sell him on this. Like, dude, he's going to come in and drop 40. It's, you're not that, but who is another body that you could go out and trade for and say, hey, come off the bench, be a wing that comes off the bench, hit some open threes, play some defense, be versatile on the defensive end, give us some athleticism on the wing. And that's where Caleb Martin comes into play. And that's, I just think on both sides, defense and offense, depends on the cost. But if you pull Caleb Martin into Dallas, into that spot in the rotation to come off the bench, yes, he's a little smaller. In a perfect world, you're like, dude, why are you telling me a guy that's 6'5", 6'6"? I want a guy that's 6'10". Yes, it'd be cool if he's 6'10". It's hard to find those guys out there for what Dallas is probably going to be offering before Thursday. And this is what we have to remember with all the trade deadline talk of what we've been doing on this podcast, in which people are like, dude, these names you throw out, you suck. These names suck. And it's like, guys, this team is like close to complete when healthy. So I just don't think they're going to be going out and swinging for some of these like big names on the market. So I think it's Caleb Martin. Those are the three names for me. So here you go. It's Matisse Thybulle, it's Kyle Anderson, it's Caleb Martin. Those are the three names that I think are most likely to land in Dallas before Thursday. If one of them does hit, tweet at me. Would love to see that. If they don't, I'm sure you'll tweet at me too. But once again, I just want to put this disclaimer. It's not, hey, I know Dallas is chasing after this guy. This is answering the question solely of, hey, who is somebody you think Dallas could go after before Thursday? And it wouldn't shock you if they're wearing a Mavs jersey come Thursday. And those are the three names. Guys, it's been a good one more thing. We'll be back. They play the Cavs on Sunday. We'll be back for post game on that. And it is trade deadline week. Oh, it's a fun week. So yeah, we'll see where some of these big names go. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, which is free in any way you can. QR code, podcast description, and all that. Yeah, peace out. See you tomorrow.